Good morning everyone. My name is Lalit Soni and I welcome you all in this live session by Drishti IAS. So in this session, we'll be talking about the news articles from Indian Express. Since there was a gap of 3 to 4 days, so we have covered all the factual articles which are important for your exam in this session. But all those articles which are repetitive in nature, we will be covering them then as and when they will be published in the newspaper. So let's start with the today's newspaper along with the other news articles. Okay. So we'll start with the practice question which was given to you in the last episode, and then we'll have a look at the newspaper from 17 to 22nd of Jan. We have taken all the important articles, okay, and which are factual in nature, and there are probability that they won't repeat, okay. So that is why we have taken those articles, and then we'll be talking about few articles which are important and may repeat in your next sessions. We will take them as and when they come, okay. So in today's session, we'll be talking about interim budget, and then we'll talk about article related to WTO dispute settlement. Okay, so there is a mechanism in WTO which talks about all the disputed issues which comes to the WTO, and then there is an appellate body and which decide on all those matters. Considering there is some issue which is going on in that appellate body regarding the appointment of judges and why that is happening, we will talk about that in this particular article. Then we'll be talking about Ramayana outside India. So you know that today there is this inauguration of Ram Lala's temple, and because of which this epic Ramayana and other aspect related to it has been in news, and accordingly there was this explained section in Indian Express. We'll be talking about that, how outside India also we have seen some kind of influence of Ramayana, and we have seen places where characters from Ramayana are having some kind of significance. Okay, so we'll be talking about that particular article. Then Ramnath Swami temple. Okay, so this temple is in Tamil Nadu, and where PM has recently made a visit, so we'll be talking about that. Then afterwards we'll be talking about some world affairs. Then there will be an article or 2 or 3 articles for your own read, because they are simply put, and we'll be saying those articles for your own read. Then we'll talk about the practice question as usual. Okay, so let's take a look at today's Indian Express front page. Here you can see Ayodhya wears festival look, stage set for Ram temple consecration ceremony today. Okay, so this is 22nd of Jan, and temple was supposed to be inaugurated on 22nd of January, and today there is this auspicious moment when this temple will be inaugurated. So most of the articles on this particular page are related to your Ram Lala's or Ayodhya temple. And second thing is, close to deadline, Bilkis convicts reach Godhra jail. Okay, so in this particular article they are talking about that since the sentence which was given to these convicts has been given some kind of, you can say, pardon, okay, by the state government, or they were released soon. Okay, considering that the victim has gone to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has said that that particular release of these convicts was illegal, and they were to come back and surrender in the Godhra jail, and so that is what happening here. Okay, so with that we will be starting today's session. We'll have a look at the practice session. Hold on a second. Okay, so let's have a look at the practice question. What is the primary mission of World Economic Forum? We have discussed this particular forum in our previous session, and that is why we have taken this question. So options are to promote Swiss non-profit foundation globally. Now the thing is, if this is a World Economic Forum, there are high chances that it will not only for one particular foundation or one particular forum. Okay, so that you can eliminate. And then to engage business, political, academic and other leaders to improve state of the world. Okay, that is a probable option, so we will keep it on hold. Then to exclusively force on economic issues in Switzerland. Okay, so again they are talking about one particular country, so there are chances that it might not be true until unless this particular thing was very significant in Switzerland. Okay, so that is also incorrect. To publish report on international cooperation, so that can be one of the function, but here they have asked for the primary mission or the primary function of the body. Okay, so we can say that option B would be your right answer. Okay, now one thing here is that when you are seeing these options, okay, if they have interchanged the option and D would be on your second option, let's say if D was your B option, So there are chances that most of the people might have actually gone for this particular option. So that is why it is important for you to read all the options carefully, and as at the same time you have to use the keywords which are given in the question itself. Okay, so using that you can find the answer from your question itself. Okay, so option B would be your right answer. Moving further, article 1, that is related to your interim budget. So obviously this time we are going for the Lok Sabha elections, and because of which there are this budget related issues, and on budget we know that we go for the annual statement of you can say expenditure and revenues. So in this particular time, finance minister has said that they are going for an interim budget and not a full-fledged budget, because obviously there are chances that government might change. Okay, but again here they are saying that they will be going for the interim budget. Okay, so here you can see tax stops for low income slab, higher capex likely in budget. Okay, so these are some indicators. So let's have a look at the article. Okay, Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman suggests no spectacular announcement in the upcoming interim budget. So they are saying that there won't be any big announcement. There won't be any big announcement in the interim budget, but there will be some things which can be discussed in the budget. There are anticipated measures include small tax relief, potential tweaks in the income tax rates for lower income taxpayers, and incentives for new income tax regime. Okay, so there are indicators that they are saying that there might be some small changes in the tax regime. Okay, so that is one thing. Then possibility of a higher standard deduction and increase exemption limits. So they are saying that they might increase the exemptions. Okay, tax department aims to enhance revenue collection through expanded tax deduction at source, transactions, and comprehensive profiling of taxpayers. So basically they are trying to enhance the TDS, which is tax collected at the source only. Okay, so they are saying that they are trying to enhance this particular element of our tax regime. And then expected focus on public expenditures. Okay, so public expenditure has been driver of our economy in recent time. Okay, so public expenditure in infrastructure and welfare spending with manageable fiscal implications. So they are saying that considering the fiscal deficit in mind, they will go for the public expenditure. When public expenditure is done in the infrastructure, there is, you can say, crowding in of the private investment as well. Okay, so once the basic infrastructure in a region is created, there are chances that private player will also enter into that particular arena. Okay, so that is why public expenditure is important. Other than that, if we talk, here you can see budget session of parliament scheduled from January 31st to Feb 9th. Okay, interim budget will be presented on February 1st. Okay, so here they are saying that we will be presenting interim budget. Historical pattern shows previous interim budget did not entail major changes. Example 2019, 14, 2009. So in all these are the incidents where interim budget has passed. Okay, so we can say that this is not the first time it is happening. Okay, so now here you can say that there we cannot expect major changes in the budget, but there will be small tweaks here and there. Okay, past interim budget included measures such as hike in the standard deduction, which has been talked about, then changes in TDS threshold, fiscal stimulus. Okay, so all these things we are expecting from this budget as well. The upcoming Lok Sabha elections may influence in the timing of the full budget presentation expected in July after a new government is elected. Okay, so now we are saying that after new government is come in July, and then we will be discussing the full-fledged budget. Okay, so here when we are talking about interim budget and vote on account, generally we use these terms interchangeably, but the thing is there is a very small difference. Okay, and they can ask you in this prelims examination and all. So that is why you should have this thing in mind when we are talking about interim budget. Okay, so basically here we are focusing on receipt and expenditures, change in direct tax, and discussion is required. Okay, and when we are talking about vote on account, here we are only talking about the expenditure. Okay, we are not talking about the receipts. Okay, so that is one difference. Second thing is direct tax unaltered. There won't be any change in the direct tax. And third thing is there will be no discussion on vote on account. Okay, since it is only for the expenditure, there would directly be a vote. Okay, so here when we are talking about interim budget, there will be a discussion, there will be there will be a discussion, there will be a change in direct tax, etc., and receipt and expenditure, both of them would be taken into account. Okay, so here you can read that a vote on account contains only expenditure on of the government, whereas interim budget deals with both receipt and expenditures. Okay, here you can see a budget ahead of Lok Sabha election is always a vote on account, essentially to seek parliament approval for expenditure in the first few months. So here they are only talking about the expenditure. Okay, so generally they go for the vote on account. Okay, hence the government of the day avoids big policy announcement through minor tax changes or normal increase in the spending patterns, or you can say spending for the course. So now here they are saying that since there is elections, there are this convention which is followed, that they are generally going for the vote on account for the expenditure which is required for the certain month. Okay, because a full-fledged budget is not passed during that particular time. Okay, since that is the prerogative of a government in majority, and there are chances that for that year government might change. Okay, that is why we are going for the vote on account. Okay, and here we are just talking about the expenditure in the first few months before the elections. Okay, so that is your vote on account. Here we are going for directly on a vote, and there is no detailed discussion required in this particular case. Okay, so there are three difference between interim budget and vote on account. You can go through this particular slide. Second thing is, generally we use these terms interchangeably because of lack of awareness, but there is small difference. Okay, so you should know that. Okay, now moving further, Ramayana outside India from East Asia to Caribbean. Okay, so when we are talking about the countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, all these countries are having some kind of element of Ramayana over there. Okay, and then when we are talking about Caribbean countries, okay, in those Caribbean area also there are element of Ramayana, because that is generally because of the migrations which has took place. When we are talking about the East Asia, okay, so there are that we had trade relations with this particular countries. When we are talking about South Indian regimes or the kingdoms, Chola kingdom was very important, and they had maritime facilities and they had trade relations with the East Asia. Okay, so when there was trade relations, they used to travel over there with the traders, and now among those traders there were some priests, okay, some monks. All these people used to go there and they tried to preach certain elements of our religion over there. Okay, and one part is that Ramayana, they also brought this particular Ramayana to that particular place. Okay, that is one thing. Second thing, when we are talking about this Caribbean area, so how far we did not have direct trade relations with Caribbean, or you can say Latin American countries. So how we sent our culture, our Ramayana to that particular area? So that happened during the British era, when Britishers needed some kind of labor in that particular area, because these are all former colonies of British, and then that the slavery was ended, and after slavery was ended, because these are the slaves who were working on those plantations in that particular area. Once slavery was abolished, Britishers used to take labor from our country to that particular area. Okay, so most of these people were from, let's say, UP and Bihar, because these were the labor surplus area, and then they were sent to that particular places, and that is how Ramayana reached to that particular area as well. Okay, so let's have some detailed discussion. I would suggest that you read this article, because there are chances that they might ask you some question from that, because I remember once UPSC asked about a temple, Buddhist temple in Afghanistan. Okay, so now we have this Angkor Wat in Cambodia. Okay, they have asked about that particular temple in options, as much as I can remember. So the thing is, they might even ask you from this article as well. Okay, so here you can say Ramayana has been popular in India for millennia as text in Sanskrit and many other languages. Okay, so because we know that we had this text in Sanskrit, that is Ramayana, and after that we have this Ramcharitmanas that was written in the local Awadhi language by Tulsidas. Okay, so these texts has been in the local language as well. There are many translations of this particular text when we are going to southern India. Okay, so in that area also we have different perspective, or you can say different translations of Ramayana in that particular area. Okay, so here you can say Sanskrit has been the main language of Ramayana, and after that there was many translations, and Ramcharitmanas etc. has been written in the local languages as well. Okay, so Indians travel across the world as prosperous traders, as preachers, as bonded laborers, and through which Ramayana has actually reached to far-fetched areas of, let's say, East Asia as well as you can say Cambodia. I'm sorry, Caribbean. Now, how it spread in Asia? So there are various you can say opinions. You don't have to remember the name of the scholars here, okay? But Santosh and Desai, this is one assistant professor in Asian history and religion, okay? So he has said that the Ramayana traveled from India to the rest of Asia in the early centuries of Christian era along three routes. There were three routes they have taken. Generally, we know that there are three routes, like by land, by sea, and there might be another route. We will be talking about that. That is, one is by land. That is the northern route, took the story from Punjab and Kashmir to China, Tibet, and the East Turkestan. So now these, you can say, from Punjab to China and the nearby area, you can say that was the first route, okay, in the northern region. And second was the by sea in the southern route, carried story from Gujarat, South India into Java, Sumatra and Malay Peninsula, that is, you can say, now Malaysia and other countries, okay. And again by land, eastern route delivered the story from Bengal into Burma, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, okay. So now here you can say that there are three routes. First, to when we are talking about China, etc., these stories has traveled from Punjab area to through this northern route to China, Tibet and nearby areas, okay. Then second route was from our southern part of India. Here you can say that all these various kingdoms used to travel through the sea route because of their maritime facilities, okay. And from where Ramayana has traveled to the areas of, you can say, Java, Sumatra and Malay Peninsula. And when we are talking about the third route, that is also again the land route, that is from your eastern part of our country, that is West Bengal, Bihar, UP, to you can say Myanmar and these Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, all these countries, okay. So that is the route which has taken place, okay. Now when we are talking about Indians are traveling to this region for trade, basically this trade was in spices and gold, and accompanied by priests, scholars, monks, and all played a role in popularizing Indian culture and religion. And many of us people stayed back over there because of their relations, or you can say they married over there and got jobs over there, okay. Ramayana become an integral part of the culture of many of these countries. In Thailand, okay, there is this kingdom, that is Ayutthaya kingdom. So you can see the similarity between Ayodhya and Ayutthaya, okay. So here you can say that it is believed that it has been based on the Ayodhya of Ramayana, okay. So that is one case where in Thailand there is this kingdom named Ayutthaya, which is based on Ramayana, okay. Then in Cambodia there is this temple, that is Angkor Wat temple. As I told you, this temple has been asked in UPSC in your PYQs as well, and they might even ask you in the future, okay. Generally when we are talking about PYQs, most of the time when we see that how UPSC asks question, it is basically when they ask you a question, they give you 5 things. One is the question, second there are 4 options. So there are 5 questions in that particular question itself, okay. So they have given this particular thing in their option, so there are chances that they might even ask you in a question, okay. So in Cambodia, Angkor Wat temple complex, built in 12th century, features murals from Ramayana, okay. So murals are a kind of paintings which are placed in that particular temple, which is based on Ramayana, okay. And originally this temple was dedicated to Lord Vishnu, and you can say Vishnu, Ram is also avatar of Vishnu, and that is why there are some kind of similarity which we can find, or we can trace elements of Ramayana in this particular temple as well, okay. So how it survived today? So when we are talking about this Ramayana going there, that is one part. This is how it went there. How it survived there is because there was a local support, okay. So locals there which are living there, or the Indians which are living there, they started playing it in a form of art form or something, or you can say for their leisure activities, because they are living far away from their own homeland, okay. So there was this Ramayana, a version of Ramayana in Thailand. So this name can be important. Pronunciation may difference, but the thing is, name is, okay, Ramakan, okay. So this particular thing you can remember, okay. So this is the Thailand's national epic, okay. And there was this Chakri dynasty. You don't have to remember this name, Chakri dynasty, and the name of the king. These are rulers who are taking a name after Ram, okay. So basically the current king is basically your Rama 10, okay. So that is one element, you can say that it survived through this particular name when kings took these titles of Rama over there, okay. So that is a thing. Other than that, there is in Laos, we have this story of Pra Ram, or you can say Pehra Ram. Okay, so this is also inspired somewhere from Ramayana only. Okay, so there was some kind of in all these perspectives of Ramayana over there, or the translations of the story over there are some little small changes they have performed locally over there. When we are talking about in our Ramayana in India as well, there are certain parts where Ravan is also given some significant you can say influence in the Ramayana, or it was like he has been portrayed as a nice person. Okay, he has made mistakes, but the thing is he was a very learned scholar, or at that particular time he was a Brahmin, but he was very learned Brahmin at that particular point of time. The only mistake he has that he has arrogance, and then he has done some things which he has been killed because of that. The story of Ram has undergone various changes. Okay, and there was some inspiration not necessarily from the Valmiki Ramayana, but from the Kamban Ramayana. This particular name is important, that is Kamban Ramayana. Okay, so this Kamban Ramayana has been written in Tamil, so that is why it is also important. Okay, other than that, as I told you, there are various changes which has been made in Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. They have their own version of Ramayana, and here and there they have made some changes. Okay, then outside Asia, when we are talking about, as I told you, Ramayana has gone to the Africa and the Caribbean region. And how it was gone? Because of the labors. As I told you, we have talked about this particular thing, that British Indian has taken labors from this particular area to, let's say, areas of Fiji, Mauritius, Trinidad, Tobago, Guyana, Suriname, all these areas they have taken our labors over there. Okay, so Ramayana to Africa and Caribbean was the Girimitia migration outside India in 19th century. So this term you can remember, that is Girimitia or Girmitia. So these Girmitia migration basically related to this migration of laborers from our country to parts of Africa and America. Okay, so they are mostly from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Okay, as I told you, this Tulsidas Ramcharitramanas, which has been written in Avdi, and how it survived over there, same thing. It survived because of the the presence of Indian people over there, and they have made into some kind of folk art over there, and they used to perform all these activities at their auspicious occasions. So that is how it survived. Okay, so that is about few factual data you can take from here. That is Ayutthaya kingdom. There is this Angkor Wat temple. Then we have this Kamban Ramayana. Then there is this Girimitia element to it. Okay, so all these things can be important for your prelims examination. Now moving further, we can take another article that is related to your WTO dispute settlement body revival faces delay over countries differences. So basically the countries, developed countries and developing countries are divided on this particular perspective of appointment of judges in this particular committee. So there are 7 members in this dispute appellant body of WTO. There are 7 members. There should be 7 members. Okay, but currently it is working on 3 members. But the thing is, the appointment of other members is dependent on the consensus among the members of this particular, let's say, body. The thing is, USA is not in favor of that. USA is saying that the dispute resolution, or you can say the terms, all these are not working in favor of USA, because most of the dispute, nearly, here somewhere we have discussed that approximately 90% of the dispute pursued against USA. Okay, so that is why USA is not in favor of that, and that is why there is no consensus in when we are talking about appointment of these judges. Okay, so here you can say reinstating a fully functional WTO dispute settlement body to resolve trade dispute between countries could take longer than expected. Differences between developed and developing countries are basically the issue, and that is why we are not able to make sure that this particular body performs well. Okay, so there are 164 members. Okay, they are set together next month in Abu Dhabi for 13th ministerial conference. So this ministerial conference are basically a body where or you can say a platform or a summit where these members come together and resolve all the issues. Okay, so that is one thing. And why it is a problem? Because protectionism has been on the rise due to the lack of functional dispute settlement body. Okay, so because of there is this lack of dispute resolution, and because of which this protectionism has been increasing in the areas, mostly in the West. When we are talking about this protectionism is increasing nowadays, because earlier West used to talk about liberalization, globalization. Okay, but recently we have seen this trend that America is also looking inward. When we are talking about UK and European Union, they are also looking inward. And when we are talking about the countries like China, they are having this trade distorting policies. So for all these things, it is imperative that we have a functional and legally binding dispute resolution system. Okay, so earlier that was supposed to be the WTO's dispute settlement. Okay, but now it is not working because of the lack of the appointments. Okay, so here you can see that is because of this particular issue, that 90% of the cases were against USA, and that is why USA is against this particular appointments. Okay, so when we are talking about the structure of WTO dispute resolution or dispute settlement, here you can say there is this dispute settlement body, and it has a panel and an appellant body. Panel gives you the decision. Okay, if the members or the parties are not following that particular decision, they can go to appellate body. Okay, so appellate body has a structure, we will talk about that. Here you can say that appellate body is set up in 1995. It is standing committee of 7 members that preside over appeals against judgment passed in the trade related dispute through WTO, brought by WTO member, that is basically in the panel. Okay, countries involved in a dispute over measures perpetrated to break WTO agreement or obligation can approach the appellate body if they feel that the report of the panel set up to examine the issue needs to be reviewed on the points of law. As I told you, that panel will give a report, and if they are not satisfied with that report, they can go to the appellate body. The appellate body can uphold, modify, or reverse the legal binding of the panel, and that heard the dispute. The countries on the either or the both side can go go to the appellant board related to this particular dispute. Okay, so here we have seen that there is this system where there will be a request from the panel member by WTO member, and that they will request to the dispute settlement body. Dispute settlement body has 2 elements, that is one panel and the appellant body. Panel will give a report, and if there is some contention in that report, they can go to the appellant body. Okay, so appellant body's decision would be final, and at that particular point of time, appellant body is not functioning fine because of the issue related to the appointment of the members of the body. Okay, so there are 7 members in that particular body, and right now it is working on the strength of 3 members. Other members has not been appointed because of the lack of consensus between the appointing members. Okay, so that is about WTO dispute settlement and what is issue regarding this particular body. Now, government 81% responses to COVID led panel in favor of simultaneous polls. Okay, so there was this one nation, one election call. Okay, and the recent the ruling government has made a, you can say, commission or a committee under former president Mr. Ramnath Kovind. Okay, so now this fact is important for you. Other than that, everything has been covered in our discussions when we have talked about one nation, one election. Okay, so basically when we are talking about one nation, one election, we are talking about all the elections related to your state assemblies and Lok Sabha to be happening at the same time, so that the state, or you can say election machinery, can can be used at one particular time, and the rest of the time these government which are elected through this one election can perform well, because when we are talking about the current situation, our nation is always in the elections mode. If there is panchayat election, then we have this Lok Sabha election, then we have state assembly elections, then we have Rajya Sabha. All these things, most of the time leaders are busy in the elections, and you can say going for the party politics, etc. So the thing is, the main aim behind one nation, one election is that all these things will be happening at one time of the in the 5 years. and after that they can basically focus on the governance related part, or you can say the part which is related to your government activities. Okay, so that has been discussed earlier. Here I have taken that because I wanted to tell you this fact that there is a committee which is chaired by our former president Mr. Ramnath Kovind. Okay, he'll be he along with the other members will be talking about the feasibility of one nation one elections, or how it is to be implemented. Okay, so that is one thing. Second thing is they have gone for some kind of survey. They have asked some stakeholders about it. Okay, and in response they have got that 81% of the people, or the from that particular sample size, they are in favor of one nation one election, or you can say simultaneous polls. Okay, moving further, India to send industry delegation for copper mining opportunities in Zambia. So when we are talking Zambia, here you can see that there is a country in African continent, Zambia, somewhere here. Okay, so there is the reserve of copper. Okay, Cu in Zambia. It is said that it is sixth or eighth largest. Hold on a second, I'll check it. It has 6% of world's copper, and it is eighth largest reserve. Okay, so don't get confused between the ranking and the percentage. Zambia has 6% of the world's copper reserve, and it is having a 8th in the ranking. Okay, so most of the countries, like you can say Canada, China, India, they are trying to get opportunity in that particular area. So we will be sending one, you can say, delegation to Zambia related to copper mining opportunities. When we are talking about India, this demand of copper is rising. Then we are talking about the electric vehicle related industries, or the all other electronics related industries. Copper mostly work as a cathode. Okay, so mostly when we are talking about the charging industry or the batteries, copper becomes an important element, and that is why India is kind of relying on imports, because we don't have the reserves which we require to fulfill our demand. Okay, considering the new things in the market, that is electrical vehicle, batteries, charging infrastructure, all these things require copper, and we don't have that much reserve, and that is why we are going for the opportunities from where we can explore copper. So that is one such opportunity. The mine ministry has proposed sending an Indian industry delegation to copper rich Zambia to discuss potential copper exploration and mining project in the southern African country. Okay, so there are few entities like Vedanta and Hindustan Zinc, electrical vehicle makers, that is Ola Electric, and then there is this Lohum, okay, LOHUM, that is related to your lithium ion batteries. Okay, so all these stakeholders are interested in joining the delegation. Other than that, Zambia has about 6% of world's copper reserve and 8th largest producer of copper in 2022. So that is important fact for you. You can note it down. That is Zambia has 6% of the copper reserve, and it is 8th largest producer in 2022. Okay. So when we are talking about the industry, that is construction, consumer durables, transportation, industrial manufacturing, clean energy technology, electronic vehicles, all these things require copper as an element in the manufacturing process. Okay. Khanij Videsh India, that is Kabil. Okay, so that is important. Khanij Videsh India. Okay, Khanij Videsh India Limited, that is Kabil, that is a body, or you can say a PSU. Okay, and it is from the central, you can say it is Central Public Sector Enterprise. Okay, so it is under Mines and Ministry. It is tasked with the acquisition and development of the critical mining projects overseas. Okay, when we are talking about any project which is outside India's territory, okay, so that particular entity, that is Khanij Videsh India Limited, or you can say Kabil, will be responsible for that. Okay. Kabil has announced a signing of agreement with state-owned companies in Argentina. So as of now, they have announced an agreement with Argentina. When we are talking about Zambia, we don't have, or you can say we have only limited presence in Zambia, and we are exploring for the opportunities over here. Okay, so when we are talking about India's copper requirement, okay, so net import of the copper cathode, which is basic product of the copper production, grow by 180%. So that you can say that demand has been grown by 180%. Okay, in the same financial year. India is not self-sufficient in copper due to the low domestic reserves, and that is why we are dependent on the imports, and that is why we are looking for such opportunities. So here one fact is important, that India is trying for some kind of opportunities in Zambia related to your copper mining. Okay, so that is all about this article. Now moving further, in security related issues, when we are talking about India Myanmar border, we have discussed this article earlier as well, that Home Minister has said that we will be going for the fencing of India Myanmar border. Now why we are taking this particular thing is, in 2017 there was this free movement regime that was proposed, and because of the Rohingya issue, because of the Rohingya crisis, it could not be implemented, and then it was implemented in 2018. Okay, since 2018 we have this free movement regime, wherein the tribal communities which are living over there, they can cross the borders up to 16 kilometers. Okay, so let's say if this is the border, this is India and this is Myanmar. Okay, so the tribal communities living over there, they can go inside other country up to 16 kilometers and they can stay there up to 2 weeks. Okay, and for their employment purpose, etc., or let's say people to people connect, or the cultural ties over there. So because of which there was this free movement regime, and when we started this regime, the government over there was, you can say, friendly with India. Now Myanmar has this military Janta government, or you can say military Janta ruling over there, and there is this civil war like situation going on in the Myanmar, because of which there is a threat of migration into this particular area. So they are trying to migrate into inside India, let's say from Mizoram, from Manipur, and that is why we are going for fencing of this particular border. Okay, so here you can see that Central has decided to fence the entire length of the currently porous India-Myanmar border to stop free movement of people. Like the Bangladesh border. In Bangladesh border, we have fully fenced border now. Okay, reconsidering our free movement regime, agreement with Myanmar, and going to end this ease of coming and going. As I told you, we will be eliminating this particular free movement regime, okay, which was started in 2018. Now we are going to end it again. The free movement regime allows tribal communities living along the India-Myanmar border on either side to travel up to 16 kilometers inside the other country without a visa and stay up to 2 weeks. It was implemented in 2018 as a part of Narendra Modi's Act East policy. So this particular thing is your homework. You have to go and see the particular aspect of the Act East policy. We have two policies when we are coming, talking about our Asian neighbors, South Asian or the East Asian neighbors. That is the Look East policy, and then we have Act East policy. So you have to go and check what is the difference between these two policies. Okay, then there is this another policy, that is neighborhood first policy. So all these policies are important for your foreign relations, or you can say international relations. So go and make a note of these three policies. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, coming back to the India-Myanmar issue, we have this 1643 kilometers of border along northeastern states of Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland and Arunachal Pradesh, a porous border which has only 10 kilometers which is fenced. Okay, so now we are going for full fencing of this particular border, which is nearly 1643 kilometers, which has border with 4 states, that is Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland and Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, there are few communities. When we are talking about the movement of these tribal communities over here, we are basically talking about 3 to 4 communities which are prominent here. That is, one is Chin. These Chin people are also, they have migrated from Myanmar only, while Chin people living in Chin state of Myanmar, contiguous with the Mizoram, Mizoram are of the same ethnicity with the Mizos and the Kuki Zomis of the Manipur. Okay, so these Chin people are living in Myanmar. Okay, they have this, you can say, similar ethnicity, or you can say similar culture when we are talking about the other communities like Mizos, Kukis and Zomis which are living in Manipur. Manipur has always been in the news because of the clashes between the communities. So that is how these communities like Mizo, Kukis, Zomis are important from two aspects, that is related to your Myanmar when we are talking about this particular area, and also Manipur issue is related to these communities. Okay, so these are the communities which are quite kind of important for you. Then we have these Nagas. Okay, so Nagas are also living on the border. Okay, Mizo, Chins and Nagas on the both side of the border share social, economic and day-to-day ties. Okay, so these 3 to 4 names of Mizo, Kukis, Zomis, Chin and Nagas, you can remember these are tribal communities from this particular area. Now moving further, Brazil supports one China policy. We have talked about this one China policy related to your Taiwan issue. Okay, Taiwan has gone, some changes. Taiwan has this new president over there, and because of which there are chances that there will be a change in their approach towards China. Okay, China says that Taiwan is integral part of their territory, and Taiwan is saying that they are sovereign nation. Okay, so now China is asserting on the one China policy. So this particular article was in news because the foreign minister Wang Yi on Friday welcomed Brazil's recent support for the Beijing's one China policy. Okay, so Beijing saying that Taiwan is their part. Okay, and now Brazil is also supporting their claim. Okay, Taiwan is an inseparable part of China, a sign of stronger bilateral ties with Brazil, because Brazil is now supporting that. When we are talking about India, India also support one China policy. Okay, and after 2010 we have seen this particular change, that in our official documents etc. we have stopped using this word, that is one China policy. Okay, because of the tensions which has been on rise with China. The one China policy is a policy asserting that there is only one sovereign state under the name China, as opposed to the idea there are two states, one People's Republic of China, that is PRC, and Republic of China, ROC, that is Taiwan. Okay, so when we are talking about PRC, that is which we consider China, and then there is this Republic of China that is in Taiwan. Okay, so they are running this government from Taiwan. So China is saying that there is no such Republic of China, ROC, only there is one China, that is People's Republic of China. Okay, so that is about this article. Now when we are talking about China, Philippines agreed on lowering tensions over South China Sea. Both sides decided to use friendly negotiation to manage the difference. When we are talking about South China Sea, there are few islands which China claims to be their own, and the countries like Philippines, here you can say Malaysia etc. and Vietnam, they are saying that they are part of their exclusive economic zone, and because of which there is this tussle between these small island nations and China. Okay, so here there are some islands like, that is you can say Paracel Island, then we have this Spartley Island. In Spartley Island only there is one island, that is, or you can say shoal, that is Second Thomas Shoal. Okay, so all these area, or that is the Scarborough Shoal, all these things are disputed in South China Sea. When we are talking about Philippines, that is Scarborough Shoal and the Spartley Island are disputed between China and Philippines. That has given rise to tension between these two countries, and they have gone to international forums as well, and the UN clause has given judgment in the favor of Philippines. China did not obligated to that judgment, and that is why that issue has always been in the news. Okay, so now they are saying that China and Philippines has decided to lower the tension and go for talks, or you can say use friendly negotiation to manage the differences. Okay, so here there was this one term, that is Ran-I Reef. Okay, or this Ran-I Reef, or you can say there is this Second Thomas Shoal. So this is what USA calls it, and this is what China calls it. Okay, and there was another name, that is Ayungin Shoal, that is Philippines calls it. Name are different, but the place is same. That is, here you can say this particular area is your Second Thomas Shoal, or you can say Can-I Reef. Okay, so you can remember all these locations from the map, because they are quite important. They can ask you as disputed regions between which countries, or when we are talking about this area, or when we are talking about the Pacific Ocean, there are another article islands, sorry, there are another islands like Senkaku Islands etc. that is disputed between China and Japan. So all these disputed islands, you can remember the names, because that can be asked in the examinations. Now moving further, international relations. When we are talking about this Israel issue, okay, this issue has spread into various parts of the region. When we are talking about Syria, Iraq, Iran, Yemen, okay, Lebanon, all these countries are now becoming part of this particular issue. When we are talking about other countries like USA, Saudi Arabia, okay, Qatar, all these has been part of the negotiations as well. Okay, so that is why we can say that that issue which started as you can say Israel and Hamas, has not been now restricted to that particular area. Now it has been the issue of West Asia altogether. Okay, so let's see what is going on in that front. Right now, when we are talking about this particular article, no indication that Netanyahu's position under imminent threat. Okay, so before this incident happened on 7th of October, there was this protest against Netanyahu's regime because of the judicial changes he wanted, the judicial reforms which he wanted. And after that particular attack, these protests came down because they rallied behind the soldiers of the country, okay, and the national interest, you can say. But now, since this war has been on for like 4 months, and there has various victims of the war, and because of that, various protesters has come on the road against Netanyahu's regime. They want that if we want a solution, we have to change the regime. Okay, but the thing is, from the reports, it is known that there is no imminent threat to his position right now. Okay, so that is one thing. So again, we can say that Israel's government, you can say the protest has started against the Israel government again, which has been somehow you can say suppressed after October 7th. Okay, so that is why we have taken this article. That is nothing more, just one development which has happened in the recent days. Then when we are talking about Israel strikes in Syria, kills 4 Iran military advisors, tensions are rising. Tehran has been accused of funding proxies including Lebanon's Houthis, Hamas, as well as groups in Syria. So that is why they have struck this particular area, that they are supporting this terrorist elements, and that is why they have struck this area. Okay, and Israel has long been launching strikes in Syria, but these have only intensified since the Gaza war. Okay, so that is the element, as I told you, that it has now spread to the nearby area as well. Earlier also it was there, but those attacks were not very frequent. Okay, but now it is very frequent when we are talking about this particular area. The war on Gaza is no longer about Israel and Hamas. Israel has carried out targeted strikes in Lebanon, Syria, killing Hezbollah, Hamas, Iranian commanders. Iran-backed militia in Syria, and Iraq has attacked USA in Syria and Iraq. So there are USA bases in Syria and Iraq, and Iran-backed militia in Syria and Iraq has attacked that particular area. The Houthis, who are Iran-backed rebels of Yemen, has turned Red Sea into a battlefield. That we have talked again and again, that how Houthis are creating hookus in, or you can say chaos in, Red Sea. Okay. Recently, Iran claims to have destroyed an Israeli spy outpost in Iraq's Kurdistan and training camps in Sunni Islamists in Syria and Pakistan in their airstrikes. So Iran has also attacked Pakistan recently. So we will also have a look at that. So you see how it has spread in the areas of Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, Iran, Pakistan. Okay, so all these things are actually the result of this war in Israel and Hamas, or you can say this Gaza Strip related war. Current situation characterized by the regional anarchy. You can say that there is a regional anarchy. So anarchy is a word which is used when there is no order. Okay, when there is lack of order, any country is firing missiles on any other country, any country is launching attack on any other countries, you can say that there is regional anarchy when we are talking about this West Asia. So current situation characterized by the regional anarchy, with countries resorting to unilateral military actions. Urgent need for a new security equilibrium is seen in the West Asia. Okay, if you want that order back, if you want the stability back, we need to go for a new security equilibrium. And how that will come? That has to start with the Gaza. Okay, so immediate ceasefire in Gaza is imperative. Achieving peace between Israel and Palestinians could serve as a foundation for the broader regional security discussions among the key stakeholders. So basically, we have to start from that particular area, and then we can talk about other stakeholders as well. Okay, so that is imperative that the immediate ceasefire take place in the Gaza. Okay, so that is about the situation in the you can say West Asia. Then when we are talking about the Pakistan, Iran's attack on Pakistan, Iran has said that they have attacked on the terrorist outfits in Pakistan. Okay, and Pakistan has retaliated in some kind of you can say strike. Okay, so here you can say when we are talking about this, all these strikes which we have seen in the previous slide, that Iran has attacked Syria as well as Pakistan. Okay, so how India defends Iran here? Okay, so India has backed Iran in the missile attack on alleged terror camp in Pakistan's Balochistan province, calling it an act of self-defense. Now India has this particular policy that they are against terrorism in any form. Okay, so when Iran is attacking a terror outfit in Pakistan, they are saying that that is an act of self defense against terrorism. Okay, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard fires missile at what it said were two important bases of Jaish al-Adl terror group in Balochistan. The External Affairs Minister said that while the issue was a bilateral one between Iran and Pakistan, India had an uncompromising position on terrorism, that we have discussed various times, that they are against terrorism in any form. Okay. So then when we are talking about Pakistan launched strike on the militant groups in Iran, so Pakistan again retaliated, when we are talking about the Iran's strike, they have retaliated against that particular strike, and because of which you can say that all these things are happening. One good thing is that Pakistan is saying that they are, you can say, eager to maintain ties with Iran here. Okay, second thing is they are saying that there is no disruption in the trade with Iran on the borders despite tension between Iran and Pakistan. So that is a good point. Okay, and that can be you can say leverage that can be used to avoid the you can say attacks, further attacks in that particular area. We have discussed all this issue because that has been in news for like 3 to 4 days. We have all these issues in the Around the World series and the In News series. There are 2 videos on our Drishti IAS English channel. You can go and watch this particular issue in details. Here you can see a map of Pakistan and Iran. There is one thing that is important, that is Chahbar port, which is India's infrastructure project. India is kind of cooperating in that particular project, and then there is this Gwadar port. Okay, so that these 2 things you can remember from the map. Now moving further, facts from the news. There are few facts which has been extracted from the news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi takes a dip in the sea during the visit to Ramanatha Swami temple in Rameshwaram. Okay, so it is in Tamil Nadu. That is the fact. You have to remember that Ramanatha Swami temple, it is in Rameshwar in Tamil Nadu. Okay, Ramanatha Swami temple is situated in Rameshwaram, Tamil Nadu. The town is surrounded by the Indian Ocean at one side and the Bay of Bengal. So that is one thing. It is one of the sacred Char Dhams. Okay, Rameshwaram you must have heard of. Okay, so that is one part of our sacred Char Dham in the Hindu philosophy. And then the temple is prominent place of worship for Saivaist and Vaishnavist. Okay, so basically here that is the place where Ram has done the puja. Okay, so that is why you can say that that is a sacred place for Saivists as well as Vaishnavites. Later in the 15th and 17th century, Setupati rulers constructed this temple. Okay, from 15th to 17th, various Setupati rulers of this particular area has built this particular temple. There are various pillars, nearly some more than 1,000 pillars are there in when we are talking about the entry to the temple. So that is important fact you can remember. The temple was built in the Dravidian style, and stones which is used is limestone and the granite. So you can remember this particular fact that it is a Dravidian temple. Here you can say that these pyramid like structures are you can say element of Dravidian architecture. Okay, now moving further, there was another place which has been in news, that is Arichal Munai. Okay, so Prime Minister Narendra Modi during a visit to Arichal Munai Point said to be the place from where Ram Setu was built. That is also in Tamil Nadu. Okay, so here you can say that this is the location of that Arichal Munai. It is in Tamil Nadu, and here we can say that it is, you can say, last road of India. Okay, so this is the last road of India in Dhanushkodi. Name is Aruchal Munai Point. Okay, so this point is Aruchal Munai Point, and in Dhanushkodi is the, you can say, larger area of the district in the Tamil Nadu. Okay, so now another fact is that Science City is to be set up in Gurgaon and Faridabad. Okay, so this particular thing has to be set up. Okay, that is committed effort to enhance education in science technology in the state of Haryana basically. Okay, second thing is that is based on the mantra of Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Vigyan and Jai Anusandhan. Okay, so Anusandhan is for research, Vigyan is for science, and on the mantra of that we are going for a Science City in Gurgaon, Faridabad. Okay, so now there was this another fact, that is Japan has become the 5th country to land on the moon. Okay, India has become the first country to land on south pole of the moon, or soft land on the south pole of the moon. Okay, so that is huge achievement for India. And now Japan has also become the fifth country to touch on the moon surface. Okay, or you can say land on the moon surface. So here Japanese space agencies, the name is JAXA, that is Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. Okay, so they have sent a lander on that particular planet, or you can say on the moon. And there was some issues, communication was broken, and then communication was revived, but the solar panel on this particular expedition is not working. So that is one thing, but only thing you have to remember is that Japan is the fifth country to land on the moon surface. Now for your own read, we have given you these 2-3 articles. Gaps in learning persist, but the tech access offers avenues for the avenues beyond school. Okay, so there was this ASER report, annual status of education report. Okay, so that particular report has come, and this is published by a NGO, that is Pratham. Okay, so regarding that, or the data which has been explained in our In Focus series, so you can watch that video. Okay, for revision also that video would suffice. Okay, so that is from this particular article. And second article for your read is that Nagar style temple architecture in which Ram temple is being built. Okay, so there are nearly 2 or 3 architecture design when we are talking about the temple architecture, that is Dravid, and then there is Nagar. Okay, so that is why you have to remember that this particular temple has been in news. Okay, and so you have to remember the few features of that particular temple. So that is why here you can expect a question from Nagar style. So here you can see there are Amalak, Mandap, plinth, and then we have that Garbhagriha in which idol is placed. We have this Shikhar, Mundi, and the axis. Okay, this particular platform is known as Jagati. So these are some features of your Nagar style. So you can go and read this article which is talking about that particular temple architecture. Okay, that is part of your static portion. So that is why I am not discussing it, because there is nothing new to discuss. All these elements are already there in your books. Okay, so now moving further, there is this another article, the history of Somnath temple, why Nehru opposed president inaugurating it. Okay, so you know that Somnath temple has a history of attacks from the foreigners. Okay, and after that it was rebuilt again, and then there was some political issue behind it. That is not important for us, but there are certain facts, historical fact has been given in this particular article. So I would like for you to go and read that particular article. Okay, with that, our session of these 5 days of newspaper, I would like to place a hold on that. And now we will discuss the practice question which was given for you. Which of the following is the key feature of India-Myanmar free movement regime? So options are A, unrestricted immigrations, B, visa free travel for citizens up to a certain distance from the border, C, open access to employment in both countries, and D is complete border demarcation. So you have to attempt this question and answer in the comment box. Okay, moving further, practice question for your mains. Given the complex and the escalating situation in the West Asia, what are your thoughts on the feasibility and potential challenges of establishing a new security equilibrium? So basically they are talking about what are the challenges in this particular region, and how can you build a new order, or you can say how can you bring back the peace in this particular area. Okay, and what are the challenges to that particular piece. Okay, so that is what you have to discuss in that question. Here first you can talk about the escalating situation. So they are talking about there are few components of the questions. So their first is escalating situation. So you have to give some idea, or you can say introduction related to that, and then what are your thoughts on the feasibility and potential challenges. So first thing is feasibility. They are talking about the feasibility of building a new order in this particular region. Okay, that is one thing. Second thing is potential challenges. When we are talking about feasibility, so here you can use all the ideas which has been mooted by the various countries. Okay, or when we are talking about talking with all the stakeholders, going for the immediate ceasefire in Gaza, there should be a immediate measure, there should be a medium term measure, then the long term measures. All these things you can discuss, and then potential challenges you can talk about in this particular area. So with that, I would like to take your leave. Thank you. I'll see you in the next session. Till then, have a good day. Thank you.